This is Professor White. Today we'll talk about how we can put all these things that we learned about factoring together. So I'll go over as many things that I can do. So there are a couple of questions you need to ask. The first question, can you take the GCF out of every term? If you can, go ahead and do that. Second question, is it a binomial? If it's a binomial, use the formulas that I gave you. It's either addition or subtraction of cubes. The addition of squares is prime, and difference of squares can be factored out. How about trinomials? Can you use one of the standard forms? Is the leading coefficient 1, or is the leading coefficient not 1? So you ask this, and every one of them is done differently. Okay. Here's the first one. Can I take the GCF out? Let's look at it. It looks like x squared can come out. Watch. X squared is out. 4x plus 1 plus 8y. Guess what? Let's FOIL it back. This one is 4x cubed. It looks like it. X squared. It looks like it. 8x squared y. This is the one that I only use. Just take the GCF out. That's not bad. Okay. The other thing. I have a place, I have a GCF. Can I take it out? Greatest common factor. Is there something that repeats? Watch. This one does repeat. This one repeats as 5x minus 2. What do you have left? Here's the x plus 7. I took the GCF out of these two terms. Greatest common factor. Okay, well, how about this one? They may not tell you. Use grouping or look at that. Now, if I cannot take the GCF out, what I need to do is, well, can I take the GCF out of groups of them? So remember how the grouping is done. 4 terms, grouping is done this way. Look at the first 2. Then look at the last 2. And now look at it together. Guess what? X minus 3 comes out. What do you have left? You have an x plus 1. Okay? All right. How about binomials? Well, do you remember how binomials work? Now, we are putting it together, so I need to take the GCF out first. So let's do that. Now I have difference of 2 cubes. I can do the formula. Now, how did the formula work? The formula worked the first and the last with the minus. And then you have first one square, last one square, and last one was always plus. The middle term was the opposite of this one, which is the plus, and you multiply them out. And remember, this part is always as far as it goes. It's prime. You cannot go any further. So this one factored out as 3, x minus 2, x squared plus xy plus y squared. Okay, well, let's do another binomial. What can I do with this one? Can I take a GCF out first? That's the procedure. Let's do that. I have y squared minus 1. Okay. Now, can this go more? Yes, that's the difference of 2 squares, because that one is y squared minus 1 squared. So let's do that. I took x squared out first, and this one factors as y plus 1, y minus 1. Remember that one? And is that as far as I can go? It looks like it. And you stop. Okay, let's do trinomials. Again, take the GCF out first. Is there anything I can take out? Looks like y is repeating. Take it out. You have x squared plus 2x plus 1. Now I have to deal with the trinomial. What does that look like? Oh, guess what? That's the standard one. The first one is squared. The last one is squared. How did that work? So I have the y. And this first and last square in the middle one is twice first and last, and I know that formula is first and last squared. It's the perfect square one. You can always FOIL it back and check. So let's look at this one. Again, I'm doing trinomials. Is there anything I can take out? It looks like 2 is repeating. Before I jump into trial and error or grouping, I check, can I take something out? Yes, you can take x2 out. So you have 13x. Now you have 12. Now this is the situation. First one is square, last one is not square. That's the product sum formula. How did I do that? I used to look at this one, and I can write this as 1 times 12, and this one is 1 plus 12. Okay, go watch that one if you don't remember. So this is going to be 2 terms. It's going to be x and x, and this is going to be 1 and 12. And they are plus because they are both plus. And I can check, this one is x, this one is 12x, 12 plus 1, that's 13, it looks like it. Okay, so we're making it harder and harder. So what gets out of here? Take the GCF out. What's repeating? It looks like 3 and x are repeating. Let's take it out. So what do you have? You have x squared minus 12x plus 11x. So what do I do? This one is a trinomial, leading coefficient of 1. Well, let's see if I can use the product sum method. 11, and there's a negative, so that means it's going to be double negative. Negative 1 times negative 11 is 11. And when I add, I get negative 12. This may be fast for you guys, and make sure that you watch the other videos before you do this one. X and x, and so it's going to be negative 1 and negative 11. Okay, you can FOIL it back to check if you want. So let's try that one. What happens when I have something that I cannot take the 3 out? This, I can take 3 out from here, but I cannot take it out from here. So I'm stuck. So what do? Take the x out. So you have 3x squared plus 20x plus 12. All right, now I'm going to use trial and error. So let's see if that works. All right, so 12 is going to be 3 and 4. 3 plus 4, and then I cannot do this 1 and 3. Okay, so let's try 1, 3, 3, 4. And then I can also try 2, 6. I can also try 1, 12. Remember, trial and error is a pain, but somebody has to do it. So I'm going to try 3x and x, and I'm going to try 4 and 3. Let's see if that works. This one will give me 4x, and this one will give me 12x. 12 plus 4, that's 16. I am short. Let's try 2 and 6. All right, let's try this 2x, and this one is 18x. 18 plus 2 is 20. It looks like this one worked. So when I have the trial and error, what did I do? I had taken the x out, and the remaining part factors out as 3x plus 2 times x plus 6. All right. Now let's put the flowchart together, and hopefully that will help. And I will add one more thing in here so that you can actually get it. So you have a factoring problem, a polynomial. So you kind of look at it, and then you will take the GCF out. That's the very first thing you do. Then you deal with the rest. So if you have a binomial in the rest part, you can use these formulas. A squared plus b squared, that's prime, leave it alone. A squared minus b squared, that will factor out at a plus b, a minus b. If you have a cube plus b cube, that factors out a plus b, a squared minus ab plus b squared. If you have a cubed minus b cubed, that factors out a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared. 4 terms, what you do is you just use grouping, and you group them 2 by 2, and let's see if you can take things out of there. If you have a trinomial, you look whether or not you have a standard form. Standard forms are these guys. You have a 2ab. So if you have a 2 and a first square, last square, you do that. Or if this is a minus, you'll have a minus in there. So when you see one of these 2 terms, you can just go and do that. This next one is the one that's like this. X squared plus bx plus c. That one, you use the product sum. How does that work? So you first look at the product, you find 2 factors, and you add them up and see if they add up to b. Well, when you did the leading coefficient, not 1, so it was some like that. How'd you do that? You just look, you did it either way. So let me move this up so you can see it. You either did it with trial and error, or you did it with grouping. Okay, so this is pretty much it. This is all you have. So kind of put this together someplace. And then we're going to do a couple of these. And I will do one that I did not cover in the grouping. So let's look at that one. So if I had some like this, something like 3x minus 1, and then you have 5, 1 minus x. Okay, now let's look at that. X minus 1, 1 minus x. That one is opposite of each other, so you need to use a trick. You need to say, well, x minus 1 is the same as negative taken out of 1 minus x. Does that make any sense? So let's FOIL that out. This will give me negative 1 plus x, which is the same as x minus 1. It looks like it. You can use a trick here. You have 3x minus 1, and then take the negative out, put it in front of 5, and write it like that. Does that work? And watch. And you can do x minus 1. So this one is simply x minus 1, 3 minus 5, which is negative 2x minus 1. Does it make sense? All right. Or you can just go, you see 1 minus x is negative of it is x minus 1. So that's all I did. I put the negative in there, and then take that negative out, and then you can actually do that. And let's see if this actually works out. So if I didn't do that, and I went from here, I would have gotten 3x minus 3 plus 5 minus 5x. And look how it goes. Negative 5x plus 3x, that's negative 2x. And this one is 5 minus 3, that's 2. And let's see if that's really the case. This one is negative 2x plus 2. And it looks like these two are the same. So remember, when you have these things, don't, pay attention to the negative and the positive. And I use all the other videos to break down for each method, and you'll be okay at the end.